But as we land in Burbank, we're going to get our luggage outside. You know, it's outside. I was like, guys, I don't know how I'm going to get back to my truck in the marina, you know? And they go, we got you, we got you. We're standing there waiting on the luggage, and this big white limo pulls up, and they go, that's for you, man. I'm like, no, that, right there. Yeah, that's your name. Okay. Let's all get in. We all got in, you know. There was like 10 of us. We went to every corner of LA, all over the whole world. It took like 6.5, 7 hours to get everyone home. Finally, I'm there with a limo driver at my truck outside of this trailer park in the marina. I'm like, well, here I am. It's about 5 a.m. Let me see if the key works. Yeah, that works. Okay. He says, all right. He handed me my bag. And he took off, and I saw him drive about 1,000 miles down there, and then it slowly, and then it turned, and it was gone. And I was like, whew, was that a dream? Or what? Did that really happen? I crawled in, went to sleep that night. You know, it's, wow, okay, on to the next one, right? Man, I don't know why I had to tell you that.
Phil, this movie has an amazing visual style and the editing, and it's got so much energy just from the very beginning sequence. Can you talk about how much you plan that, and then how you bring those ideas to set, and how you work with the actors, and just kind of talk about your visual approach to this movie?
Sure. I mean, well, I'll just be honest. Martin Scorsese's After Hours had come out before this film. For any of you that might remember that movie, well, I might have borrowed a few techniques from Mr. Scorsese.
Also that DP guy, too.
Yeah, and Barry, and
Barry Sonnenfeld.
Yes,
yeah.
and so... And he, and you might have noticed at the beginning of the credits, he got a lighting consultant because Barry wasn't in the union yet.
That's right.
He was, yeah. We had to have a standby. This is one of the things actually Spielberg was great about. I said, this guy shot Blood Simple. That was really the film he'd done at that point, which I loved.
Yeah.
And I said, I'd really, really want him because he had all that kinetic energy. He loved the kinetic camera. And I certainly wasn't going to get Michael Bauhaus, who had shot, you know, After Hours, and is a huge DP. And so you know, and Steven said, okay, great, let's get him. And then we found out he wasn't in the union, and Universal was very uncomfortable. You know, it's a union company, but they hired what they call a standby DP, and paid him, and then paid Barry as the lighting consultant, and that's how that. So anyway, what I did, so I studied, I got a VHS, yes, it was the days of VHS, of After Hours, and I watched it about 100 times. And then well, the way I do it on all my films is I shot list the whole movie in advance. So I sit with the script by myself, and having seen the locations, and I know who the actors are of this, you know, about a month before the movie, and I write out every single shot for the film in advance, in editing order. And then I redo the list in shooting order, and then I redo the list again in schedule order. So that way, you come to the set every day and you know exactly, you have 8 shots, 12 shots, 15 shots, whatever it is. So that part of it's kind of done. I didn't storyboard the movie. I don't storyboard my films. I just use the shot list. And then what's great about that is that then you really know what you're targeting, and you can really try to do, you know, you've got like a big crane. You've got big shots to do, small shots to do. You can make your day. And stylistically, I just wanted it always to feel like a clock was ticking. I just always wanted to feel like it was moving. So I can't even believe how many push-ins there are in this movie. I'm like, will you stop with the push-ins? My God, there's people sitting there doing nothing, and the camera's like, oh. I'm like, get off the dolly, for crying out loud. But but I mean, the theory was behind it, I really just wanted to feel like it was just this inexorable, you know, event that he was not going to get out of. And it was just going to keep coming and coming and coming, and then it would be spiked, these moments of sheer panic or punctuation with those. Back then we did it with step printing. You would shoot the shot normally, and then you would take like every third frame out or every other frame out. That would make it go a third or half speed, and that's where you get those when he like goes.
Did not know that.
Yeah, it goes shoo, like that. And,
cool.
all the ticking after hours. It was all that ticking. Remember it down in Soho? Griffin Dunn, Jerry Mitchell. It's, we didn't have the Mr. Softy truck, but anyway. But it was. So that's really was my inspiration and for it. And then I actually for the fight. This is going to seem kind of weird, but for the fight, I watched Road Warrior. Because I really liked what George Miller did and the way he would use whooshes and bits and pieces and the way he would stage shots that would last and last and last and then punctuate it with like pow, 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 and then something would last and build and then pow, 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 pow. So I really liked that rhythm. So I would take these kind of styles I loved at the time and then try to kind of apply them to the script. And I was lucky enough to be able to, Universal let me do a pass on the script. So that always really helps when you can do that because then
it's your own. Right?
Yeah, and then you see the shot. You're not trying to interpret what someone meant. You know how to. Hopefully, you know how to get from A to B to C. So all that really helped. And the fact that it was one day, one location. Like the more you crunch and contain a movie, the more pressure you can milk out of it.
Right.
And so I was lucky that way too, just with the story
You
itself.
mentioned Raging Bull also.
Yes, I did. Yes, that's the other film.
Because the punches had such, force.
Exactly. And yeah, Raging Bull was the other one that I'm so hesitant you say Raging Bull. People were like, yeah, you didn't, yeah. That's nice you said that, but no, not Raging Bull. Road Warrior sounds better because it's cars. I'm like, well, how the hell that work? But yeah, right? But I did, you're right. You got me. I did look at Raging Bull.
Well, I'm sorry, I didn't know I was talking
No, I did, but I don't even think I came close. I mean, maybe a couple moments. I will say I stole one thing from Zemeckis too. This is really bad because it makes me look like I didn't have an idea in my head.
Hard.
But there's the great in Back to the Future where where he finally punches Biff out in the parking lot and Biff's head does that whip around. I did the exact same trick on Jerry when you nail him against the car and you rage out and you nail him and it goes like that. That cut is pure Bob Zemeckis. He stole it from someone, I'm sure. He was here.
We do have to wrap up, but before we go, can you just set up a You Two Raglan' Hum and maybe just tell us how you got involved with that?
Well, it's really funny because I was in post-production on 3 O'Clock High, and I had only done the Two Amazing Stories, and I think my agent may have been using some of the baloney your agent used, and somehow got me a meeting with them on the last day of the North American Joshua Tree tour. They were going off to Europe, and I got to meet them, and we hit it off. They were interviewing a lot of directors to do a film, and we hit it off, and they said, can you come to Dublin tomorrow? And I said, sure. And I had to call the producer of 3 O'Clock High and say, I'm going to be gone for a little while. He's like, where are you going? We're in post-production. I said, I know, I'll be right back. I just am going to go to Dublin. He's like, what? I mean,
Ohio.
Really? Yeah, exactly. But I went anyway, and they weren't too happy, but I went and ended up spending 5 days in Dublin. They literally interviewed me for over 5 days to do that job because you had
left you hanging, huh?
They did. Yeah, it wasn't. It was more than 14. They would take me to, for instance, they would take me to a friend's house, and then like Bono and Edge would leave, and I would have dinner just with the husband and wife. And like, okay, great, all right. And then one time they took me to a wedding, and they left me. They all left, and I'm at this wedding way out in the country too. I've never been to Ireland. I'm all by myself at an Irish wedding. I'm like, okay, great. I don't know anyone here. And I had to make my way home, figure out how to get home. So they would do weird things like that to me. They'd drop me off in a bar and leave me. And I think that, yeah, it's true. And this went on for 5 days. And then at the end, Bono said, all right, you can do the film. And I still don't even know what the criteria was, but I didn't end up in jail or dead or something. Or both. So, and yeah, it was an incredible, I'll just say that experience, that run, that little 3 O'Clock High, U2, and then I was lucky enough to do a film called State of Grace right after that.
Yeah. Do some more of those.
Yeah, tell me, yeah. And anyway, that little run right there of my life, really, the U2 guys just taught me so much, and I learned so much from working with them and having this incredible experience, being out on the road with them and being in the studio with them, and editing. I edited Rattle and Hum as well myself, And it was just an unbelievable year of my life. Really, two, because I went straight from, in fact, I was already on the road shooting Rattle and Hum when 3 O'Clock High came out.
You know, I met Magic Johnson for the opening of 3 O'Clock High. I met him like a week before, so it came out in '87, right?
That's right.
Lakers were pretty serious then, right? And he goes, "Hey, I hear you got a movie opening coming up, 3 O'Clock High. Can I go with you?" I'm like, "Sure, Magic." I said, I came to the party because they said he was there, you know, and I was looking for him, and oh, there he was, you know, and I saw him. And I said, "Yeah, sure, I'll rent a car, I'll pick you up." He goes, "Great, great." I was doing my second movie, Two Moon Junction, and I couldn't get off the set to go to the opening at 3 O'Clock High. I always wish I'd been there that night, and I never talked to Magic after that. And let me see, Spielberg, Magic.
It was funny, I'll just end with one funny thing. When the night 3 O'Clock High opened, 3 O'Clock High was only out for a couple of weekends. I think it grossed
18
like
days?
something like that, I believe.
What did you run up against?
I don't even, you know what? I honestly don't remember that
I don't either.
anymore. No, but so it was playing at Avco Center Cinema down here back when Avco was one theater. And I had seen Star Wars in that theater.
Westwood?
And I'd seen Alien in that theater, and I couldn't believe 3 O'Clock High was at Avco.
That's
And
where I
me,
saw it.
Three of my buddies went, 8 o'clock showing Friday night, opening weekend. I couldn't believe that we were in that. I mean, it really was like my dream come true. There it was, you know. Movie theater, I
Mine
had some
too.
Star Wars in. And I go in, and the theater was empty. I'm telling you, there were my 4 friends and 3 other guys over in the back corner.
It's me and my
so
brother.
I'm just saying there are more people here right now tonight than there were the opening night at 3 O'Clock High in Westwood by a lot. And I remember I sat there and I looked around, it was empty, and I was like, I don't give a shit, it's an Avco. How do I care? I mean, it's an Avco.
Let me ask you a question. I think the movie has been tremendously undervalued, and I've never. Is it because it's not a comedy and it's not a not comedy? Is it? I mean, why do you think it got undervalued? It definitely is undervalued. I think it's a terrific movie.
I think that. Well, thank you,
Yeah.
Philip. I think at the time people were looking for Jordan Hughes high school comedies. That's what were hugely popular. That's what people were looking for. Those were the big hits. And this came out, and it was, you know, like a Scorsese ripoff, and they were like, "What the hell? This ain't John Hughes." You know what I mean? I don't mean that it was a Scorsese ripoff, but I'm saying it did have that. It was a black comedy.
Very dark.
Oh no, and people were. It's so funny just to look back on it now, but they were like, "Well, Phil, this film is pretty violent. It's very violent." The little boy. In fact, a quick aside. I don't have to scream a bit. I go to Berlin to score with Tangerine Dream, and and I go to Berlin with the Tangerine Dream. They come and see the movie in LA. I fly to Berlin to hear the music, and the music is like, whoa. And I'm like, okay, yeah. They're like, yes, it's very scary. It's very scary. The little boy is being killed by Yeah, but it's supposed to be funny.
It's high school.
No, it is not funny. No, it's not funny at all. No, the little boy is killed by the big boy. I said, no. And I literally had to stay there for 3 weeks convincing them it was a comedy. Took me 3 weeks to convince the guys in Tangerine Dream. They finally go, all right, if you say it's funny, I don't think it's so funny. And anyway, so I think you're right. The point was a lot of people saw it and were like, well, I don't know if this is very funny. I don't like that. And so anyway, and it just took time for people to.
Well, tonight's audience thought it was funny.
Thank you so much for coming. So nice of all of you.
Give it up for our guest, Philip McQuery.